Hi everyone, and welcome to my new booktube channel, Ami and Her Books. I have never done this kind of video before, but I've always loved the booktube community, and secretly I've always wanted to start my own booktube channel. And this month I bought so many books, it's insane. So I thought, why not do a monthly book haul, since they are my favorite videos to watch. And I've got this whole stack of books. Wait, I'll show you. I didn't even take the effort to count them because there are like so many. The first books I bought are actually part of a series. I already read the first book, Stalking Jack the Ripper. I started this series because I did a Jack the Ripper tour in London and I was very intrigued by this mystery serial killer, and then I found this book about Jack the Ripper and I was like, I have to read this. So I really loved the first novel, and I loved the murder mystery aspect combined with a really cute romance. So I just had to pick up the next books. I also love the fact that the main character is just a really badass woman who just likes to cut open dead people. So the next book in the series is called Hunting Prince Dracula. And the funny thing is, I'm actually reading Dracula right now, so it would be perfect to continue with this series after I finished that book. Then the third book in the series is called Escaping from Houdini. And then the final book is Capturing the Devil. So I'm really curious if I will like the rest of these books as much as I like the first book. So now that we're talking about series, I actually bought a whole series at once. I've been wanting to read this series for a while now, but it was just so much cheaper to buy it as a box set than as separate books. And that is The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer. And this just gives me Once Upon a Time vibes all over, and I love fairy tales, and this series looks like all the characters I deeply love come together, and yes please. So I really hope this series won't disappoint me because, well, I bought the whole box set at once, so I really hope that I will like it. And I also like the fact that these covers contain like the characters that will be inside, like, oh, let me show you. So okay, I'm just gonna put this box set down because it's really not handy. So you can see, like, I think this is Snow White, yes, and you have like the wolf, and you have like the characters on the front. Wait, I have a better one which I absolutely love. So for example, this book contains the Wizard of Oz. Like, you can see the Tin Man and the castle, and you can see right here the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland and Merlin. So I really hope that this series won't disappoint me, and I honestly think that this book will be my favorite because I love The Wizard of Oz and I love Alice in Wonderland, so let's hope for the best. Next is The Night Country by Melissa Albert, which is the sequel to The Hazelwood, which I actually just finished. It's a magical realism, and magical realism has always been one of my favorite genres. This book is about Alice, who goes on this quest to find a sort of dark forest, like a fairy tale forest that her grandma has written about. She never actually met her grandma, but her grandma has written this like dark, twisted fairy tale book, and she has never actually read the book. So then she has to go on this quest to find the forest, and she wants to find the place where her grandma lives, and she wants to find out what the stories are that her grandma wrote about. So It's really a fun read, but I must confess that I read the first half of the first book, and then the second half I listened to the audiobook for, which I don't think was the smartest decision because I kind of lost track of the story, and I think it's better to physically read the book, so maybe I might just reread like the last part again physically and then continue on with the second book, because I'm really curious what will happen in the second book. So if you are looking for like fairy tale vibes but are a little bit sick of those like happy ending like Princess Finds Prince stories, then I really recommend this series to you. And I think that there's actually like in a couple of months coming a third book which collects all the stories that her grandma has written, so I'm also really curious about that one. Next is Rules for Vanishing by Alice Kate Marshall, which is also a dark magical realism, I think. And it is about a girl going on a quest to find this missing person in the woods. And I really like what it says on the back of the book. I'll read it for you. Once a year, a road appears in the woods at midnight, and the ghost of Lucy Gallows beckons, inviting those who are brave enough to play her game. If you win, you escape with your life. But if you lose, pum pum pum. So I'm really curious about this book, and I just love magical realisms, and since this also sounds pretty dark, I just really wanted to read this book. Next is Of Ice and Shadows by Audrey Coldhurst. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Audrey Coldhurst? I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. Which is a sequel to the Of Fire and Stars. I haven't read the first book yet, but I really want to, but I have so many books that I still have to read, so this has been put on hold for a while. The only thing I know about this series is that it is about this princess who has to marry this prince, and instead of falling in love with the prince, she falls in love with the prince's sister, which sounds pretty awesome. I'm totally up for that, so I'm really curious what the rest of the story will be like, and I think there are also some adventurous aspects in here, but that's basically all I know about it, so we'll see when I finally get to them. I don't want to know anything about the second book yet, since I haven't read the first one, so I'm sorry I'm not able to tell you more about this book. Then the next book I have is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, which I know nothing about, to be honest. The only thing I know is that it's set in England countryside, and it's about students and teachers at a boarding school, but that's actually all I know about it. I picked up this book because I saw it everywhere, and I saw really good ratings, and one of my favorite authors rated this book with 5 stars, so I just had to pick it up, and I want to be surprised when I read this book, and hopefully it won't disappoint me. Next is The Crying Book by Heather Crystal. I find this book already really confusing while I haven't even read it yet. That is because it is supposed to be a non-fiction book about why people cry and like what tears are made of, which sounds very intriguing and very interesting, and a concept that I've never really heard much about before. But then when I look inside the book, it looks more like short stories or like kind of poetry even. So I'm really curious what it is about exactly. There are also some pictures in there I see. So yeah, I don't know what to expect from this book, but it's really short, so I think it's possible to read it like in one day. And we'll see. Next is a book by Haruki Murakami. I have decided to start reading his books because I study Japanese and I'm really interested to read more Japanese literature. I've read his first 2 novels and I think this is part of that trilogy, but I'm not quite sure. I think you can also read this as a separate book. I don't know what it is about exactly, but I just want to read all of his books in order because I'm a weird person and I do not like to read his later books before I've read his first books, because I also like to see his development in writing. And yeah, you can read them separately, but I'm just not that person because I'm strange and I want to read his books in order. Next is Animal Farm by George Orwell, simply because I've never read this book before in my life and I think everyone should have read it at least once. And it's really cheap and it's like super thin, so yeah. Another very short book that I bought is Frida Kahlo, I Paint My Reality by Christina Burris. I was actually inspired by Ariel Bisset, another booktuber that I really like to watch, and she had this video about her whole Frida Kahlo collection, and this inspired me to read more about her as well because I'm really interested to learn more about art, and Frida Kahlo seems like the perfect person to start with because she seems like a really interesting woman. And this book is really short. It has like pictures in there as well. So yeah, I really want to learn more about her and about her style and about her life because I only know so little about her. Next is The Librarian of Auschwitz by Antonio Iturbe. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, I'm sorry if I didn't. This is a historical fiction and I absolutely love the cover. Look at that. It's so pretty. And to be honest, I've never been that much interested in history, but since my favorite booktuber, Hailey in Bookland, I'll leave her link below in the description as well. She loves historical fiction and she has such good recommendations, so now I actually have a couple of historical fictions on my TBR, and I'm really curious about this one as well because it is books combined with World War II, and it is based on a real-life Auschwitz prisoner, and it is also about a girl who risked her life to keep the magic of books alive during the Holocaust. So this sounds really sad but also really heartwarming at the same time, and I can't wait to read this. But I think you really have to be in the mood for this book, and maybe right now is not the perfect time to read this book, but I hope that sometime soon I can actually start reading this. Next is Tales from Moominvalley by Tove Jansson, which is part of a series, but you can easily read them as separate books. They're children's books and they're actually really easy to read, and they have pictures in them as well. Wait, let me look for one. There you go. And they're just really cute short reads. Often there is some kind of moral in there as well. I just mostly like these books because I have seen the TV series when I was a kid, so it brings back these memories from the past when I read these books, and it's just really adorable, these creatures and their stories, and just really funny and heartwarming. So yeah, they're absolutely not only for children. I think adults can also easily read them, and they're just really fun and cute and short reads. Next is Mist Monster by Christy Beautyman, which seriously I just got in the mail like 1 second ago, so it came at the right moment. This is also a children's book, and I bought this one because I thought it was really cute and I want to read it to my little nephew and my niece when they come over because I really like reading books, so I just thought it would be a really cute story for them, and it has like a lot of super adorable pictures in there, so I hope they will like it as well. Next is The Hunting of the Snark by Lewis Carroll with drawings from Chris Riddle. I read this book like 2 days ago already because I was very curious to read it and it looked so adorable. I just had to read it. I mean, look at that cover. And the pages are also like really shiny blue all over. It has a little ribbon, and okay, I'm gonna show you one picture inside, which I absolutely love. It's like so cute. So it's a poem written by Lewis Carroll, and I love Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. I've read them multiple times actually, but I've never read this poem by Lewis Carroll before, and I thought this was a really cute format to read it in. So I just basically read it right away and I loved it. I thought the ending was really confusing, to be honest. Like, it really surprised me. But I think it was very cute, and I'm not gonna give you any spoilers, so you'll have to read it yourself if you want to know the ending. Talking about Alice in Wonderland, I got this really cute pop-up book and I absolutely love it. My favorite one is actually the last page. I'll show it to you. Look at that. Ooh. It is so cute and it is so well made, and it has like all these different parts of the story in there. Can you see? So it's just really cute. You have the tea party right here. I have many editions of Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass because I love collecting them, and I thought this would be a really cute addition to my collection. I actually got another Alice in Wonderland edition because I'm me and I need more editions of the same book apparently. That is the illustrated edition, like the interactive illustrated edition. And I also have this book from the Little Mermaid, which is really cute, so I really wanted to have this one, and it's like interactive, so you can like, look, she's growing. You can do like all kinds of things with it, and then you have a lot of those interactive elements in the book, which I really like. It's like really thick. And it has both stories actually, so it also contains Through the Looking Glass, which I really like because a lot of times they only have like the first novel, and I'm also really happy that the second one is in this version because the other one only contains Alice in Wonderland, but I think that the second one, Through the Looking Glass, I find actually more interesting than the first one. So I'm happy that both of these stories are in here. Hang in there with me a little longer because we've almost reached the end of this enormous book haul. It's crazy, I know, I'm very sorry. But the last book on this book haul is Alice by Heart by Stephen Sater, which is an Alice in Wonderland retelling set in World War II. So that sounds very interesting. It is about this boy who gets ill, and then his sister reads his favorite book to him, Alice in Wonderland, and they, while she reads the book to him, the two worlds, like the real world and Wonderland, gets blurred together, and I think that at some point they don't know what's real anymore and what's not. So it sounds like a very interesting concept, and I think it's very interesting to read about Wonderland set in World War II. And while I was looking in this book, I actually found some pretty dark, twisted pictures. Wait, let me look. Of course, I can't find them right now. It always happens. So for example, first you see a picture like this, like they're all wearing gas masks, and it looks really creepy. And then the next moment, there's like a picture of the White Rabbit, and it sounds so confusing, but it really sounds interesting as well. I'm sorry for the noise outside. So this sounds like a very interesting but also creepy concept, and I'm looking forward to reading it very much, like many books on my TBR right now. So let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought of them down below in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I wish you a wonderful day with a lot of sunshine and books, of course. Mata ne!